welcome to another amazing episode of Uncommon Conversations. I'm your host, Jaja C. Hubbard, and you already know I have an amazing show for you as I do each and every week. This young lady is a DPSCD graduate and a really great friend. Listen, she has been known to be a community advocate, educating the people of the city of Detroit. Listen, this young lady has an amazing event this June that you don't want to miss, and you're going to hear all about it. Don't you move. Listen, without further ado, help me welcome my guest, native Detroiter, Sharia Ayers.
Hey, Jaja, how are you?
I am wonderful. To God be the glory. Listen, I'm so grateful you were able to be on the show with me today.
I'm glad to be here.
Listen, now you are a native Detroiter, born and raised in the city of Detroit. I want to dive right into it because you've been doing some really, really amazing things. You're a graduate of DPSCD, Renaissance to be exact. What
That's
was
right.
some of your life like growing up as a kid and growing up being a product of DPSCD?
Well, at first, I'm not even going to hold you up. I went from Detroit Urban Lutheran School to Halley. So that was my first experience in DPS. And like everybody at Halley, in my opinion, was just so much more like experienced, I guess, and tall and everything. So it was really interesting. But what I did enjoy about my first experience with DPS and going to a DPS school was that it was very much so Afrocentric. Like a lot of the books that we read and teachers that I had coming up were about the culture. And it was just nice to see scholars that looked like me who were just very adamant about their work, about school, and having goals. And then it just intensified when I got to Renaissance because nobody played games at Renaissance. Like everybody knew that you had a common goal, and that was success, and specifically educational success. So it never was a question of what are you doing after high school. It was like, what college are you going to? And what scholarships do you have? So it was very much so an atmosphere of success and education as well as like competition. So that's what I really enjoyed about entering DPSCD schools.
Now, Sharia, you grew up in an amazing family. I love your mom. I love your family. What was the family dynamic like growing up in the city of Detroit? Having brothers and sisters and setting that tone. What was it like growing up in that household?
So our family household was just very, very dynamic within itself. Like I know you mentioned that in the sense of describing it, but it was really dynamic. So it started off with my grandmother, my mom, my sister, and myself. And, my grandmother, God rest her soul, I loved her so much. But anywho, she held the family together at that time. And then when she passed, my sister, my mother, and I, we had to like relearn each other in this new space. And we also moved from like Meyer to Rosedale Park. So that was interesting. And then my mom got remarried and we became the Brady Bunch. So it was very dynamic and lots of changes and just it was a lot of love in every segment though. But the transitions were real and part of like the fact that like it went from a household of women and what that looked like and what that meant in regards to raising young women from my mother and my grandmother's point of view to now becoming the Brady Bunch and looking at a blended family, because my biological father, he was in prison, um, unfortunately, most of my life. So when my mom remarried, then just trying to be acclimated to a dad and a father figure. So it was lots of changes, but I will say a lot of love, no matter what aspect of life that I can think of I was in.
And speaking of sharing a lot of love and having that type of impact, Sharia, your love for the community is beyond me. You attended Bowling Green State University, and you could have went anywhere with your degree, but you chose to bring that degree back to the city of Detroit. what was some of the things that you saw that the city needed that you knew you could offer?
Well, the main thing, I'm not gonna lie, my first teaching gig was at Fremont Ross, and that is 30 minutes outside of Bowling Green. Because the good thing about Bowling Green's education program was that you had to be certified as a teacher before you could graduate. So it was a very smooth transition. However, teaching in rural white America really makes you reflect on the things that need to be in our community. And just even with teaching inner city kids versus, and excuse me, inner city scholars and rural scholars, it was just like they both have their own little boxes. And it's so much more to the world than their box. So that's one thing in particular that I learned, as well as the fact that when I saw the few Black students I did have in Fremont, and it was only 6% Black, they just didn't know who they were. They had a lot of identity issues, and it would be times where they did not like their classmates, but they didn't understand why. And so just that sense of self and understanding who they are is really what made me want to come back to the city, because it's predominantly Black. And if scholars had a good sense of self, especially when they're forming their identities and understanding who they are as a people, then they're going to be dynamic adults. And that was the main thing for me in regards to coming back to the city that I was looking forward to.
You know, speaking of looking forward, you are a part of an amazing magazine, Fly Magazine, and I've had the opportunity of working with you with the magazine, as well as some new opportunities that you're working on. Tell us about your entrepreneurship journey and how did you get started with some of the things that you're working on outside of your professional career.
So, with Fly, that came about because I come from a family of like bosses. That's basically it. But no, really. So my cousin Tanja, she started the magazine, and Fly stands for Forever Loving Yourself. And she was like, "Hey, cuz," and I appreciate my cousin Tanja because she's actually had me on radio shows and editing books, and so she just asked me like, "Hey, can you pick up on the creative content and the editing of the magazine?" And I agreed. So that's how Fly came about, and just really kind of building on her vision and having that opportunity with her. And then with trivia, that went from a hobby to a creation with my partner and I, Ed, and we started Blackout Trivia. And again, that stemmed from playing trivia and most of the questions, of course, being Eurocentric, and wanting to just do things to elevate the culture as well as celebrate us. And lastly, with Juneteenth Jubilee Detroit, that came about from celebrating St. Patrick's Day and telling my sister, like, "Hey, we need to have something for us to call our own." And she was like, "What are you going to do about it?" And that's literally how it came about, from my sister questioning me and taking that leap forward and stepping out on faith, really.
You know what? Speaking of taking that step forward and that leap of faith, you also are using your talents and your gift to help with the mental health task force. This last few years, of course, 2020 has definitely been a definitely big change for all of our lives. How impactful and important is it to talk about mental health and mental awareness, especially within our communities here in the city of Detroit?
Whew, it's vital, like extremely vital. So, um, and truthfully, I was honored to be invited to be part of that, because I got my master's degree in counseling and psychology. And one of the things that I learned just from going to school was how many things I didn't even know in regards to being introspective. And so when you learn how to self actualize, that is a beautiful thing in regards to your growth and development and the empathy that you can give to other people. So when I was asked to be part of the mental health task force for District 2, I gladly accepted because I believe it's so important for people to understand who they are, as well as what that means and how that affects the people around them. Because if you understand who you are, what makes you tick, and you're able to really just be more reflective, then again, you can be a better person to those around you. You can learn how to be more empathic, and you can just understand the difference between people who may have certain things going on with themselves, and how that relates to you, because it is so important to protect your own energy and your own space and your mental health. And with everything from Corona to all of the trauma on the news with Black Lives Matter and people who look like us being killed, it is so important at this time period for us to have some level of light, to understand that we do matter, but we have to start with ourselves and how we respect our community members, as well as what it means to be African American in this country, and how
Yeah.
we can make the difference from the stuff that
And
we do.
I second that motion because I tell people all the time, you know, we won't get the community that we need to have until we get the unity in that community, but we got to start by uniting first. And you have connected and united with some amazing, amazing organizations like the Charles Wright Museum, the Motor City Business Roundtable, the Livernois Business Association, along with creating the Juneteenth Jubilee Detroit organization. Tell me, why is it so important for the community to continue to network and close those gaps and build those bridges so that we can be united as a community?
It's important because that's how we grow. And the thing is, we know some of our history, but at the end of the day, like, our innate being is not to be rugged individuals. It's community. Like, we come from communal backgrounds, period. And in order to grow as a people, in order to grow economically, politically, it's power in numbers. So if you don't unite, or you don't try to like bridge these gaps to make sure that everybody is eating, for lack of better words, then what are you really doing? So that's why it's important to me, because I know our history, and I actually got a minor in history, and just the things that I have read constantly is the fact that we make change by being united. So, like, we all know about the civil rights movement and things of that nature, but one thing in particular that I don't think people understand is that during the Montgomery bus boycott, we as a people united on several fronts. Like, it was people making dinners and fundraising, carpooling, making copies at their jobs, students literally leaving classes to do sit-ins, and we were able to shut down a whole economy in Alabama and a busing system through unity. And not only that, that's just one example, but the whole thing is, we make change through numbers. And so if we don't unite and understand that we have the power with those numbers, then we're going to continue to fail. So bringing everybody together has really just been a blessing. And I'm just glad that I've been able to be a vessel for that. Because again, you got BYP in the mix with Juneteenth Jubilee Detroit. We got you and Hobbs, and you all are dynamic and influencers. We got Keisha Lewis, and she is very big on the finance scene. You know, we got Terry, and she does everything. Like, she has done all the legitimizing of everything. She got her own company. Dennis is a proprietor for Le Crepe. And then Chad started Black Bottom Gun Club. And so we just got a bunch of great people on the team. And Colleen is an entrepreneur and artist, and just mad connects. So I just really love that the committee has all of these different dynamics, from artistic people to lively people to business savvy folks, to where it's just, we're able to do something great this year. So all in all, it's important for us to unite, to grow as a people, and make waves.
Of making waves. It takes a dynamic brave and courageous individual to step out with those type of ideas. I tell my guests every time I come on the show that this is the year of the woman. And, you know, Sharia, 3 years in a row, you have definitely been the woman of the year with Juneteenth Jubilee. What do you think, or what's some ideas that come to mind when you think of the year being of the woman and our new elected VP and all of the women who are now stepping into some really, really great leadership roles, knowing how oppressed we were as women? What is your take on the year of the woman?
I just think it has a title now. And that's basically it, because it's been the year of the woman, especially for Black women. And no shade to Black men, but one thing I definitely learned last year, because I finished this book called A Shining Thread of Hope, and it was literally about African American women's history in this country, and just so many things I just didn't even know. And Black women have been lifting as we climb for centuries now. So honestly, the year of the woman to me is just a title, because we've been doing it. I'm just glad it's being recognized.
Exactly. Now, Sharia, we have literally we're coming out of the end of the exit of the pandemic. It's affected millions of lives around the world. I lost both of my grandmothers in a matter of 30 days. How has the pandemic affected you personally and business wise?
Well, personally, it was shocking because I did have COVID and I didn't even know I had COVID. I thought it was my allergies. And like everything, every symptom that I was feeling, I was trying to rationalize away. So it was kind of shocking personally. And then it really just kind of, it was sad to see how many people we lost and just how badly it affected the Black community. And the fact that it made it seem like we're just destitute and hopeless. And that was the narrative that I just really didn't like. So all in all, it really made me be more reflective and count my blessings, as well as the fact that it just made me want to do more. And that's really it. Like, it made me want to do more, but it also made me happy because this was the first time in a long time that we saw a worldwide protest in honor of Black Lives Matter. And that made me proud. And not only that, just being able to be with my loved ones, and it really brought things to perspective that work and all of these other material things, they're nice, but really life, family, and the people you love and who hold you down is what matters the most.
Good. Now, Sharia, every time I have a guest on the show, I like to play a little game. It's called the Survival Kit. Are you down to play?
Down.
Okay. So I am going to list 3 items. You get to use one, you lose one, and you give one away. I'm going to name the 3 items. You pick the one you're going to use, lose, and give away. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. First round. A history book, an empty milk jug, a jump rope. A history book, an empty milk jug, a jump rope. You use one, lose one, and give one away.
Give away the jump rope, use the history book, lose the milk jug.
Okay. Second round. A pack of fruit cups, an iPad, a puzzle box. A pack of fruit cups, an iPad, a puzzle box.
Use the fruit cups, lose the iPad, I guess, because I'm trying to.
So you're going to use the puzzle?
I mean, I was saying I would get a puzzle away, maybe.
Okay.
Use the fruit cups because I need to eat. Lose the iPad because if it's some real survival stuff, you might not have electricity.
Right.
and that's only going to give the hustle away. Somebody else can
Okay.
do
All
it.
right. Last round. Hair clips, a map, and iron. Hair clips, a map, iron. Use one, lose one, give one away.
Losing the iron because I hate ironing. Giving away the hair clips, using the map. Even though we haven't really
Okay.
had to use maps
All right,
time,
you just played the survival kit game. Looks like you're gonna be surviving, Sharia. Now you have an amazing event coming up on Saturday, June 19th, and I have the blessing of being one of the hosts alongside D Hobbs for the third year in a row. Tell us all about Juneteenth Jubilee Stroll. What is it about? How can people be involved, and what do they need to do to participate?
So, the Juneteenth Jubilee Stroll on the historic Avenue of Fashion is taking place on Livernois between 6 and 8 Mile. We have over 40 stores that have agreed to participate, and it will be a unique shopping day. So on that day, you can look forward to entertainment being in various stores, discounts, giveaways, raffles. We also have 2 pop-up spaces designated to being hubs. One of them is a wellness hub that will include information and resources about financial well-being, mental and physical health, as well as just some community resources, like if you want to learn a little bit more about etiquette, if you want to network. We're also going to have the Charles H. Wright Museum there with a table to let you guys know about how to become members. And we're going to have the Underground Railroad. I can't remember the exact name, but it's the Underground Railroad League of Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. But anywho, so they'll be there too, because Detroit does have a rich history in regards to the Underground Railroad. And we're also going to have a live podcast that will have some of our sponsors as well as community leaders and just entertainment and a plethora of great things. So that's all that's going to be happening, plus the VIP, in which we're going to turn up a little bit. And that's going
You
to
mentioned
feature
it's
several
free.
guests and artists. That's right. It is free. Woo. Thankfully, to the benevolence of our sponsors, it is free. And our corporate sponsors include Chase Bank, TCF, the Charles H. Wright Museum, as well as our most benevolent sponsors, which is Black Leaders of Detroit. So they have been able to allow us to cover all of the costs that we need for this year's event and celebration. And yes, and we also have a number of other sponsors that have donated to our swag bags. You also get swag. So yeah, we just have a bunch of things planned. So again, swag, raffles, giveaways, entertainment, discounts, and just activating Livernois so we can support Black businesses. And that is the whole goal: promote economic nationalism, celebrate Juneteenth, and actually understand the power of our dollar. And like I said, that
Absolutely.
podcast is going. So if you are interested in attending, you can go to june19th.co. Again, that is june19th.co, and check us out. And with our podcast, it's going to be on our social media platforms, right? So everybody be able to tune in for that, even if you don't want to come out. Get this Juneteenth in your life.
Now, listen, before we leave and wrap this up, because we got to go, and I know you're booked and busy, how can people reach you? How can they follow you? And how can they participate? We're still looking for volunteers and sponsors. If they want to follow you, Sharia, and follow the Juneteenth Jubilee Detroit, where could they go and how can they reach you?
So they can follow us on Instagram or Facebook through Juneteenth Jubilee Detroit. Or you are welcome to email me at jubileeblockparty@gmail.com. So those are 2 means to reach out. Or you can call 419-836-0771.
Now, before you leave, Cherie, I got one more question for you. Listen, when everything is all said and done, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want people to remember about Sharia Ayers?
I just want people, well, I just want people to say that I was for the culture and for education, because those are my main two goals and passions in life.
Amazing. Listen, I hope you enjoyed the show today. I want to thank my very, very special guest, Detroit native Sharia Ayers, and make sure you sign up for Juneteenth Jubilee, Saturday, June 19th, 2021. Sign up at www.juneteenth.co. Listen and get your tickets. Listen, I hope you enjoyed the show today. That is a wrap for us today. Until next week. Listen, I want to hear from you if you enjoyed today's show. Go to www.jajachhubbard.com, or you can slide right in through our DMs at UCCTV313 if you want to be a guest on the show. Listen, if that's not enough, I would love to hear from you. Write to us at P.O. Box 27866, Detroit, Michigan 48227. I would love to hear from you. That was the power of a conversation. And until next week, peace.